Welcome back to the Intentional Household Podcast. Today, Tatiana and I are diving into a topic that comes up for so many parents: how to come clean to your kids about the magic of Santa. This conversation is about more than just answering the question, is Santa real? It's about being intentional in how we respond when our kids ask us, often at the most unexpected moments. We'll share our own personal stories of discovering the truth, talk about the ages when kids usually start asking, and why it's important to clarify your family values before you respond. We'll also explore how to prepare with your partner so you're aligned, what it means to research different approaches, and how to handle your child's reaction in a way that supports trust and keeps the magic of the season alive in the way that's right for your family. If you've ever wondered how to navigate this moment with grace and intention, this episode is for you. Before we dive into this episode, I think it's very important for us to state that this is not an episode for kids. And so if there are kids in the background, let's just take a second to pause so that the episode can be turned off. Because we just don't want to ruin anything for any kids.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the topic is what is listed on the screen. And so we may be getting into some details there that maybe not is more for adults to go over than children right now, especially young children.
Yep.
There you go. That's your warning.
Yep. Okay, so let's get into it. We're talking about how to have the conversation with your kids when they ask you whether Santa is real.
Yes. Yes.
This is a really appropriate time for us because you and I both have kids who are at the age where they may be approaching us with this question.
Yes.
And a common age when this time approaches is between 6 and 9 years old. So we thought, hey, if you and I are uncertain about how we're going to respond, maybe we should open this up to the listeners as well to hear about our approach and how you can be intentional about responding. Because I'm not saying it's a big deal, but
it's a big deal.
But the magic really to be revealed, it is something that, you and I will both share our experiences. We both remember. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that thought is put into a response before it is given to the kids.
Yes.
So, Tatiana, how old were you when you found out about Santa, and how did you find out?
That's a great question. I feel like I was either 10, maybe I was around 10. It could have even been 11 years old. And I remember already having the suspicion at that point, but I just didn't want it to be true.
No, of course not.
And I was disappointed finding out that what I was fearing was actually the case. In my situation, it was my mom and my older sister that sat me down, I think just before Christmas, and just being like, just so you know, Santa's not real.
Wow, they sat you down?
Yeah. And then they gave a little bit of like what was supposed to be a heartfelt speech, but both of them looked very somber. So I was just like, okay. And then I just remember going up into my room and just being like, oh, okay. Like all of this magic is not real, and just having a moment to kind of, I guess, grieve that a bit alone. There's no really good way to sort of approach it. And we're going to talk about hopefully a better way, I think, in terms of like having I think the way it was approached to me was kind of not as intentional, not maybe thought out. It was just like, here's the facts, and could have been spun in a more positive way.
Interesting.
I didn't hear, maybe they had the positive, but honestly, I didn't even hear it past the first sentence.
No, you heard that Santa wasn't real.
Yeah, and then I probably just my ears are just like buzzing, and like they're probably just talking, and I'm not even listening at that point, because I was just like, to me, a shock to the system. As a child that grows up with the magic of Santa, it's a huge deal, and you really, truly can believe it. And you have this moment of just being like, well, what else is not real? Like my parents are lying to me, and why is this the way it is? Which is big thoughts depending on what age you've decided to tell your child this. And I was on the older spectrum, so a 7 or 8 year old, it could be really confusing.
Well, it's interesting how you say the age your kids might be when you sit them down or when you approach it, because I feel like your situation was unique, where your mom and sister, they approached you, but it is not always that case. And one of the things what we're talking about today is that parents may be thrown off guard and unprepared because it may come at a time when the child is asking the parent, and it could be when you're driving in the car or you're just cooking dinner or you're just hanging out together, and then you're caught off guard with this question.
Absolutely. And I've already been obviously asked that before. And also I should mention, I had a younger sibling, and I may have asked my parents probably in front of my younger sibling, and they were probably just like,
got it.
Santa,
okay, so
absolutely. What are you talking about? Almost like they were not ready. And also my younger sister, I think they just wanted that to maintain that. So they're like, okay, we're just gonna keep
so they
going.
nipped the questions in the bud by kind of pulling you aside separately.
Yes.
Sitting you down.
Yes.
Okay, I see. So I'll tell you what happened to me. So I'm the youngest of 3. And I had my suspicions. I was in grade 4. And so I think you're 9 in grade 4.
Yes.
And so what happened with me is I was in our household, I was allowed to watch every show, movie, even if it was rated R, TV shows that weren't age appropriate. And I remember being in a hotel with my parents, and Saturday Night Live was on TV. And you know, it was 11:30 or past, right?
Yeah.
And I was in the bed, and there was a skit about Santa.
Right.
And the gifts didn't come. And it was talking about like why the gifts didn't come. And it got me thinking, oh my gosh, like they basically revealed the truth to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to believe it, just like you didn't want to. And I think a lot of kids don't want to know the truth.
Yes.
And so I don't actually remember like where I was or that kind of thing, but I do remember asking my mom, and she basically revealed that like, yes, it's true that Santa isn't real. And also, and I remember thinking like, well, do my sisters know? And I think that was the hardest part for me, kind of like everyone in the household knew but me. And they were maintaining this
facade.
Yes, for me.
Yeah.
But I do kind of remember life before and life after.
Yes.
And so if it were to be done differently, well, yeah, I wouldn't want to be watching a TV show that wasn't age appropriate. Like I don't want to be finding out from TV.
Yeah.
And then also bringing it back in a way that, well, no, Santa isn't real, but reframing it in a way that this is a part of the holiday spirit, or there is magic in the holidays, or whatever values it is. And we will get into that, but values that our families had, and connecting it to that. And
Yes.
so while he isn't actually real, but how can we kind of hold on to that? Because it was life before Santa and then life after Santa, where there were no Santa gifts anymore.
Yes.
But I will say in Alex's household or in his family, even though there were no grandkids, the magic of Santa kind of continued, meaning there were still stocking stuffers and gifts still came from Santa, and they continued that tradition.
Right.
And so that is the approach that I would want to take, again, which is what we will get into.
Yeah. I also want to say that you found out from a show.
Yes.
And that you may deem this inappropriate, or like on the age wasn't appropriate, and that's why you came across that. But again, your children are at school with older children. And I remember being in grade 4, and at that time, definitely children start to find out, as you said, that just starts to naturally kind of come around that age. And some kids were just like, listen, it's not real. My parents told me. And other children who were just like defiant to be like, nope, like that is your parents are crazy. He comes to my house, just really the clash that starts to roll out.
You're right.
Because once kids know, they're like, I got to spread the news. Like
Yes.
you can't control them from that. There's school buses where older children will deliberately try to, maybe reveal it to your kids. So expect that will happen. You can't enclose them in a little bubble.
That's true.
And this is why having a preparation of some sort, I think, is something that you need to have gone through.
Yes, exactly. Because these moments, they are pivotal. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be fumbling over your words. And so our intention with this conversation isn't to give you, the listeners, the right response to your kids. It's about finding the response that's appropriate for you. And we will determine, or we will talk about how you can determine that. Mm-hmm. But it's about being intentional about the response you want to provide so that your kids don't walk away from that conversation feeling even more crushed or feeling like they have to, maybe they will have to grieve, but.
Which would be natural, but almost like being you understanding that will happen and your response to that. Mm-hmm. And how you want to handle that.
Yes.
And, being supportive of that. And again, it is likely going to happen when you are least expecting it. I guess in my mom's case, she was able to somewhat control that, which may have been good. She felt like she was able to say what she wanted to say. And even though I didn't agree with her approach necessarily, just the way it was phrased, it probably should have been more reversed.
Okay.
I think. And then, but she was able to sort of anticipate that and try to manage it, which may happen, or it may be like, you're in the car and just pummeled with questions where you're just like, okay, I'm forced to kind of have this conversation right now. Maybe your spouse isn't there. Mm-hmm. You hadn't even had a chance to get aligned. And you just kind of feel like, I didn't handle this great. So this is maybe, instigating that thought process before that kind of happens may be helpful.
That's it. It's really slowing down and thinking about the big picture and how you want to deliver this. Mm-hmm. Because, quite often I'm not even listening in the car. And I might I've said, and Alex has said, do you know what you're agreeing to the kids? Do you know what they asked? Because you just said yes and you agreed to something and you don't know. And so we aren't always listening.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we want to make sure we are listening and giving the response that we are content with.
Yeah. Do your kids also have Elf on the Shelf?
We do.
And is that elf real?
Yes, because we can't.
There's also that.
As in, can we not touch him?
Yeah.
Yes, he is real.
Yeah.
So that, I'm glad you asked that because that we will have to take into the magic.
Yeah.
Of
thanks whoever came up with Elf on the Shelf for adding that into our lives. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I hope that this is something that maybe will continue because for me, it's about tradition.
Yeah.
And that is a tradition that we have with our kids. The question is, what do we want our kids to take away from this? And by this, I mean the magic of Santa and Christmas. Mm-hmm. And, some of the things could be the tradition of Santa and the stocking stuffers and Elf on the Shelf. Is it the joy that both you and your kids have? Is it feeling connected about talking about this? Is it the togetherness? Is it the honesty and trust, right? So it's establishing what is important to you because for you, honesty and trust may be a priority that is greater than my priority of, let's say, tradition or connectedness or whatnot. So it's establishing that first before you formulate your response.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, how do you want them to feel when you have this conversation? Ideally, you want them, yes, they may still grieve, but somewhat keeping it on a positive note if you can, obviously. Yes, there's going to be sadness when you realize that there's no magic in the world. It's not just that it's going to be there's no Santa, there's no Easter bunny, which I never grew up with. Being Ukrainian heritage, we don't have an Easter bunny at all. So I remember having to introduce this. I'm like, what? There's a giant rabbit that leaves eggs around the house. I have so many questions on how this works. But having to realize that you have to take all this away from your kid that's grown up believing all these things, tooth fairy, all of that stuff. So there's addressing the part of magic not being real. And like, why did you want to introduce it to begin with into your child's life? And then realizing that, okay, you're going to have to take this away. Are you replacing it or is it just a void? Like, what is it about magic that you wanted to infuse to a child?
Yes.
Making them believe this for years. And now you're taking it away and just being like, oh, life doesn't have magic. But I think you need to replace that with something else.
Yes.
And for me, it's kind of like, yes, magic in the way you thought it doesn't exist. There isn't a bunny that's coming and laying chocolate eggs throughout the house. There isn't reindeer like flying in the sky, but there is this amazing spirit of the holidays, spirit of Christmas. So I think infusing this is important for me, that unites people across the world, which is magic. Like all these parents in the middle of the night are wrapping presents and they've all had this like silent agreement to like keep this going is amazing. And that's magical. Like that's humans coming together and doing this stuff for children. And for our kids, where we have a younger sibling, it's like the first ones are my twins that are 9. They now get passed this baton.
Okay.
Of like, you now are part of the magic. And you have to keep this going for your younger sister, but also younger children that you see. Like, don't be the kid on the bus that ruins it for everybody.
That's right.
Like, defend the little ones who are still believing this magic. Like, that is part of your job now. And so trying to like keep that going instead of just a void. Of like giving them something.
They now have a role in it.
Yes, exactly.
And yes, they have purpose in keeping this alive and keeping it going for the youngsters. And then if they ever become parents,
if they choose to keep this magic, which, if I think having that understanding is, it fills that void that was all of a sudden created. In addition to, bringing in the tradition and values, and what's important is actually time together. And I have started to mentally prepare our kids.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, I'm so excited for Christmas because Santa's coming. And, I'm like, I'm so excited for Christmas too because I love Christmas carols. I love Christmas music. It's my favorite. And we go over Christmas songs and just trying to like turn to the stuff that is tangible and like is not linked to just...
Okay, you're pivoting kind of.
I'm pivoting. I'm pivoting the conversation to show that I'm super happy too as an adult that doesn't need Santa.
Yes.
And I'm excited about, baking cookies with you guys. And just trying to, focus then on the traditions that bring us joy and make everything special and still feel magical without thinking about reindeers flying from the sky. Not where I want to focus things on, and just like really trying to create the joy around that.
Okay, so you're kind of setting the tone. And I love this. And I guess my question would be is, you also have a husband, Adam. Now, have you communicated this to Adam? Kind of your plan and like the new trajectory?
I think both of us haven't come together on how we want to deliver.
Okay.
Again, whether it's like we want to get ahead and have that moment and decide, like, is this the age where we tell them?
Oh, wow. No
way. Do we want to do this? Or are we just going to wait till they come to us? I think there's like, that's two different things, two different approaches.
Yeah, two different camps here, I'm
that
sure.
You kind of do need to be aligned with. Because if I was to find out like, the kids asked me in the car and I just told them everything, and I'd be like, well, excuse me?
Exactly.
Where was I in this?
Yes.
Like, hello? I would actually be very upset.
So would I, because you don't know how your partner is going to respond, and is that aligned with your vision?
Yeah, like my dad wasn't in the room when I found out. Did he know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did he care? I don't know either. But there's certainly, in my situation, I would like to be aligned on that. Even if it's like, hey, if you get attacked with this question, I'm okay, but please include these parts of the response. Or if you get attacked with this question, diverge until we can have a conversation together.
Exactly.
Like just
coming up with a plan.
Delay until the evening, and then we will talk about it.
Yes. So this is worthy of a discussion with your partner, if you have a partner, and coming up with a plan in terms of how you're going to respond. Whether, are you guys okay with the one partner responding, or do you want to say, let's wait and have a conversation with the other parent? And then it's deciding, how you're going to deliver it and rehearsing it. And I'm not saying it has to be word for word, but just saying it out loud so that it feels right.
Yeah, like the points again that you want to go over and the feeling that you feel like you want to leave with them. I think following an exact script might actually trip you up more.
Yes.
Trying to remember it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's just the main points that, like I said, it's just like, I don't want them to feel like magic doesn't exist. I want them to change their perception of what that is, a more mature version of it. Maybe even explaining to them that is like, explain to children because they can understand this amazing thing that humans do, but now you can, and this is how it works. And like as a child, you explained it in a very like fairy tale version, and now you are of an age where you can understand how it is magic. There is miracles. There's beautiful things, but it is more created by humans than fantasy.
Yes,
which is a good thing because you can rely on that, and like just trying to like explain that a bit more, that may give them comfort in understanding this and actually feel like, okay, actually this is amazing. And that's how I want them to feel after, and have the excitement still there. Like shortly after the conversation, I don't want them to be like, oh man, like I remember being explained to it just before Christmas, and then like having my moment in my room and then coming down and just being like, what the heck? Like all of this for like, I don't understand it now. I don't see the joy as much. And then, of course, Christmas morning rolled around, my younger sister seeing it still, and then I kind of got it.
Okay.
And it kind of was like, okay, actually, this is still, you still participate in this lovely tradition, and it's still fun, and we're still having a great time. And, I was able to kind of come to terms with those things and have a new perspective on what the holiday was meant to be, rather than just the fantasy and gifts part of it. So, yeah.
So you have a really good idea of the approach that you want to take, but I think that there are so many parents who don't know in what direction they want to take this, or, they want the right response. But by right, I mean the response that feels true to, again, their values. And so the question is, how can they find the response that satisfies them? And so I would say it's really about asking around, first of all.
Yeah.
If I have older sisters and they have kids who are older than mine, so I would probably ask my sisters their approach. And then I would probably look online and do some of my own research to see what some experts are suggesting as responses.
Yes, you are a fact finder. So you feel better when you have some like facts that have been statistically shown or psychologically helpful. You know what I mean? Like you like to have that additional research done before you make a decision. I would probably do the same because I just need to land on some stuff.
Okay.
But also I think internally, again, remembering my own experience and kind of focusing on how I want them to feel. Like it's just kind of like breaking it down. Magic is gone. What do I replace it with? Like tradition high up there to like maintain that joy and like, what the holidays are about. Like those two things, like I just want to really kind of focus on that in this conversation. And, really, really giving them something else to latch onto as they kind of are feeling, again, like I said, a void has been created. So replacing it with stuff pretty quickly. That makes feel good. Yeah. But not stuff like items, but again, like feelings.
Yes.
Like, emotions that can make them feel good after.
New excitement maybe, or something else to look forward to.
Exactly.
And then once you break the news to your child with your possibly rehearsed or thought out response, now there is their reaction.
Oh,
right?
yes.
And so I think it's also about anticipating our kids' reactions and anticipating that there may be a range of emotions.
My kids will be crushed. I know that.
Yeah, I think that there may be betrayal, sadness, anger, curiosity.
Yeah, my kids were big believers and very passionate personalities. So the emotions will be high, and I definitely need to manage that. I think, again, saying, the things I want to say, but also shortly after doing something.
Okay.
For me, it may be like going to a Christmas fair and to just kind of like let them soak in, stuff that's happy around them and showing them that like, look, all of these adults are having a great time. Santa is not coming to them, but they're having a wonderful time, and just like having the joy, again, just putting the focus somewhere else on it. rather than them, again, just sitting alone in their rooms and just, even though sitting with those thoughts, I think is actually important.
Yes, giving them the time.
Giving them some space to be like, but also giving them the choice.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to sit alone?
That's
or
nice.
do you want to sit with me? Should you want to watch a little Christmas movie? Should we bake some cookies? Like something, giving them some options that you think may comfort them in that right after that moment of basically like a death for them.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I want to go back to is really, this is about kind of, it's shifting the focus. Because at first, the focus was on magic.
Yeah.
And now it's about belonging or gaining something, like gaining a role or participating in keeping it alive. Or
Yeah, it's community. It's
others.
like the true spirit of Christmas is always just kind of, being with the ones that you loved and spending time with each other and finding joy in this season, and less on the consumption of like gifts and specifically Santa gifts. It's just trying to get them to realize that is just a small piece of what actually happens. In the reality, you've been enjoying everything else the entire time. So really, it hasn't changed significantly for you, but they may have a moment to need to adjust that mentally.
Yep. Yeah. And allowing for that. Like, I think we can kind of jump to now, it's just about like preparing, lining with your partner, the values, researching, practicing, and showing up with like love. And it's not about being perfect, but really being thoughtful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also want to mention one more thing. When you get to that age of 9 or 10 or even 8, your kids, and they start to maybe question, because you talked about before this episode that logic starts to set in.
Yes.
At around age 6 or 7. Around 8 and 9, they may start go looking for evidence. So again, being very prepared for this, because they may come across like, it's very tough to hide Santa and all of these things. It's very hard. We have to have like, there's a chance where your child may come across
Yes. Okay.
your presence.
Oh, yeah.
And all sorts of stuff, which has happened to many people I know. So that is when things like, again, you do need to get ahead and prepared for these things when they occur, and they may happen with your child revealing it sooner than you thought.
That actually brings back another memory that was a piece in the magic being revealed for me, which was, I don't know if you're a baseball fan.
Yeah.
And if you can remember the Jays winning
Oh, yeah.
back-to-back series,
Absolutely.
92, 93, and they came out with their bloopers movies, like VHS.
Yep.
And I really wanted that for Christmas. And I remember asking for it, and I remember my mom saying, "It's coming."
Oh, yeah.
And Santa brought it.
Okay,
And
right.
to me, I was like,
She slipped up.
yeah, like how did she know?
Right.
And so that was another piece.
Yeah.
It was just putting all of these pieces together that like it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And it's because the logic has set in,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking more critically.
Absolutely. And like, again, they will probably start hearing stuff from school, and then they find a couple of these evidences. Like I think our children saw the Elf on the Shelf boxes. That for some reason I store the elf, and like they're
Yes.
high up.
Yes.
But our kids have gotten taller.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that they could actually see where I've hid this in a closet. And I had to like hide this box the next day. But I remember my daughter seeing like, I thought I saw the Elf on the Shelf boxes. Oh, and wow. I think it's one of those things like when the kids aren't ready, they kind of like they can push it away.
Yes, they can.
Until it's kind of getting to the point where it's just like the logic starts to take over.
Yeah,
and
and they
that
start
is kind of
tallying it
maybe
up.
a good gauge
Yeah, okay.
for a parent of when you're like, this may be now a time where we should stop this route and come clean because it's only going to get more. And they're ready for it. They are ready. And I think that's another way to gauge it is how ready your child is. And that really can vary. You can have some 12-year-olds that are not ready for this conversation. You can have 7-year-olds that are ready for this conversation. It depends on your child. That's why we didn't want to say there's a script to follow and there's like a certain way to do this. Yeah. It really depends on what your child can handle. And again, because you don't really know when that can come, the sooner you have an idea of what you'd like to say with your partner, you will be ready when all of a sudden that's in front of you.
Exactly. Yep. So it's really preparing for the big question when it arises.
Yeah.
By planning with your partner, thinking about the values that you want to instill, researching possible responses for some who may want to research. And that could include just asking around and practicing.
Yes. And I think anybody that goes on our Instagram page, we're going to very stealthily ask people if they haven't want to share stories that we can share after on our website. Again, trying to keep that stuff off social so it's not accidentally viewed, but we can share those things on our blog and, responses that people have used just to give you ideas. So if you're looking for some resources, some ideas, you can head to our website where we will have more information on this.
And this is really about showing up with clarity and love for your kids and giving them the response that you think is appropriate for them, that you will be satisfied with.
Yep. Good luck. Good luck, parents. Let us know how it goes.
Thank you for listening to the Intentional Household Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love it if you shared it with a friend or family member who might find it helpful too. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Intentional Household for more tips, resources, and behind-the-scenes updates. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, thank you for joining us.